To start this conversation, because pretty much everybody who is part of this program, they've seen you at the Most Powerful Women event. They've heard your story. Some of them read your book and following you for quite some time. But I wanted to, because today I want to talk about money and financial freedom and building an empire. I want to ask you some questions, and we're going to open it up for the questions from our audience. But I actually wonder what money is to Elena Cardone.
Oh, I love that question. Money, I believe to most is made to seem like those scary, overwhelming, or even unavailable thing that's out there. The thing about money for me is it's a tool. That's all it is. It's a tool to buy time, energy, resources, and an abundance. I don't have attachments to certain meanings with money that other people might have, but I had to deliberately separate my previous conceived notions about money in order to then be able to attain it. So we're talking about finances today. I'm glad you brought that up. And then I would like to tell you the three things, and the only three things that you need to know about money in order to create financial freedom, that are very basic steps, easy, and you don't need some sort of college degree. I don't have a college degree, so I'd like to impart that wisdom upon the audience as well. But I do want to touch upon this thing that you talk about, money. What does it mean to me, and what is it to me? Money is a tool. It's a resource. It can help me be more generous. It can help me provide more for my family, for my community, for the globe, and my philanthropic endeavors. It can literally get me around the globe. We have our own plane and whatnot. So it's a tool. But before that, I used to have these ideas about money that I didn't even really realize were my thoughts about money, but they were buried in my subconscious mind. Like, I did feel like money kind of made people evil, or I had heard about that, or I was afraid it was going to change me in some way, or my friends were going to think I was a sellout if I had money, because I kind of grew up like a little punk rock rebel chick, and we frowned upon wealthy people. We called them yuppies, and they couldn't relate to us, and they weren't our kind, and rich people were greedy and they should give to the poor, and all of these things. Of course, I knew no wealthy people to be able to be making those assessments about them. But those limitations that I did have buried within me actually prevented me from having money, because you see, I could only attain a certain amount of money where I thought that was the threshold of what I was allowed to have. But if I had over that, then I would somehow step into my version or vision of what a rich person was. So I would always cap out to this level, and then something would happen. I was an actress, or my TV show would end, or I got one great job and then it would end, and nothing would sustain itself to get me up into those upper levels. And at the time, that was like around the $1 million mark. I thought, if I hit $1 million, I'm rich. And then somehow that would make me uncool with my friends and whatnot. So I had to look at all of the thoughts that I had about money and be willing to have a different perspective about it. I had to be willing to see a different viewpoint. I had to be willing to say, okay, if I have money and these people are going to judge me because of it, am I willing to personally let them out of my life for that? And I came up to the conclusion, yes. Money is an enhancement. It's a magnifying glass. If I'm generous, it's only going to allow me to be more generous. If you're a jerk to begin with, it might only magnify your jerkismness, but it doesn't actually have the ability or the power to make you become an evil person per se. So I had to look at all of the relationship that I had with money and be willing to be able to think differently about it so that I could then have it. And that started with, I had to stop criticizing people that had money, or judging them, or being critical of them. What you criticize, you can't you can't have for yourself, because something in you is going to prevent yourself from having that, because we're basically good human beings. We don't want to be bad, greedy, harmful, or whatnot. So you're always going to create some sort of situation that's not going to look like the situation you created. It's going to have other circumstances around it that just make you a victim of it. But it's going to happen time after time after time until you get your relationship and your thoughts around money cohesive.
I love this so much because, I do believe that, exactly like you said, money is just a tool. Money do not have the power to make you who you're not. Money only gonna expose who you truly are. Because
agree.
like you said, if you're a jerk, a poor jerk, you're gonna stay a rich jerk. You some magically not gonna become a decent human being because now you have the money. And the same way, the opposite. If you're a really good person, money not going to make you an evil. They just do not have that kind of a power. But when you do not have a lot of money, you have the ability to hide. When you don't have that spotlight on you, when you're not talked about it, or your day is exposed to everybody to see, and actually not just watch what you're saying, but actually what you're doing, your feet, not your lips. And at some point, I feel like when people have a lot of money, they stop hiding. They get to the point, they're just like, whatever, here I am, world. You either like me or you're not, but this is my true face. And maybe they don't even say any of that, but they just kind of like subconsciously, screw it, I'm gonna be like whoever I am, and you guys either like me or not. And so that's my feeling and my understanding about money. But having a healthy relationship with money, in my opinion, is absolutely impossible, because like you said, I feel like subconsciously we will be sabotaging our success one way or the other. We will be either getting into the bad relationships, into the bad partnerships. We will find a way to be like Eric says, because like he had kind of like a bad money blueprint, not healthy money blueprint, because he's coming from the upbringing that especially in church, it's like rich people don't go to heaven, and majority of them are not nice human beings, and they're lonely, and all that stuff, that being kind of like taught, not maybe out of the malicious intent, but because people don't know any better. And because of that money blueprint that you have, that money is something to avoid, gonna show up in your life. You're gonna be money going to avoid you, and because of that, you will never have enough.
Yeah, and I always look at who tells you that. Nobody tells you that who has money, and they say, "Oh, rich people are bad people, or they're greedy, or they're lonely, or whatever." And that might be true. I mean, but there's going to be poor people who feel the same exact way and have the same exact circumstances. Like, I've been through both. I've had money and I've not had money. And I can tell you, you're going to have problems. We live on planet Earth. No one escapes the challenges of life. But I will tell you that it's nicer to go through those problems having money, not be another additional problem, than not having that. And and again, the flip side of that is, what it took for someone to earn that money, the amount of integrity and discipline, and nights of not going out and partying and associating with the right people and making the right decisions and educating themselves and getting to where they actually are. I mean, that to me is very commendable in people. But other people who don't want to do the work, who are lazy and are challenged by other people's successes, find it a lot easier to try to bring that person down to that level, rather than respecting and admiring the work that it took for that person to get there. And when you do that, again, it goes back to the beginning. When you do criticize a person who has it and flaunts it, then you're just withholding yourself. It's saying more about you than it is the person. It's telling me more about that person's lack of either belief in themselves or the actions that it takes in order to achieve those goals. So that's why, it's interesting. It's an interesting society that we live in, because most of the people that are giving you this information have never had the audacity or the courage to go for greatness. So so it's more comfortable to keep everyone the same, so they don't have to face the amount of confront that it takes to be able to rise above all of the noise and have the courage to at least go for the attempt of something bigger than you were quote unquote meant to be.
Right? Because here's the thing, it's, you being a performer, you being an achiever, you going after your dreams makes a lot of people uncomfortable because it exposes, like you said, that they're not willing getting out of their comfort zone, that they're not willing to face their fears, that they're not willing to, take risks and make mistakes and grow and, get better. So you going after that just exposes their, settlement for the mediocrity, and just settlement for being average. And I haven't seen a single successful person to tell me that I need to slow down or when enough is enough. How much money do you need? How many toys do you need to buy? How much more do you need to contribute? I have never seen a successful, truly good human being, telling me anything like that. Not one top achiever ever told me that. And only people who are lacking money, who are lacking, the desire to get out of their comfort zone, the desire to get uncomfortable and chase their dreams and work their butts off, they're the ones who are screaming the loudest. They're the ones judging the money. People who do not have the money judge the money more than anybody else, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I find the people, at least who I associate with, you being one of them, is that, once you hit your status, or, I don't know if you ever will, certainly my targets keep growing. So I feel like I'm constantly climbing the ladder and trying to get to my next goal or target. But I find that the people that other people could look at and say, oh, they've made it, certainly we could be considered in that category. But I find that the people who truly have quote unquote made it, they're quite the opposite of what the original concept is if they're greedy, because they're not. They're actually now working their legacy move to help others and helping other people fast track their way to success. And I find that they're so genuine in giving so much of their time, energy, and resources to helping all of, thems along the way. Like I want to help all the other little me's out there that were in my shoes, or I was in their shoes maybe 10 years ago. I want to help them get to where I am, but only take them half of the amount of time. And I find that other leaders like yourself do the same, actually. And if I wasn't in a position where I was financially free, I wouldn't be able to have the statistic here to then be able to help other people. But I wouldn't be able to have the generosity to donate time to helping others because I'm still too busy trying to work to take care of myself. So that's the different kind of click mentality, shift in mentality that I was talking about earlier. So thank you for doing what you do for women and men around the globe.
Oh, thank you so much. Because here's the thing, yes, there are different ways you can get lucky and have money. You can win a lottery, you can be a trust child, but in most cases, people who did not work for the money and didn't earn the money themselves, gonna lose it pretty fast. But everybody else who earned their money, I think the biggest and important lesson for all of us to remember is we know how to make it happen. We know we face certain fears, we face certain obstacles and challenges. And my encouragement to every single person who is watching this call right now is, if you're already in a very successful level inside of your company, making 6- and 7-figure income, do not stop. Don't stop. Once you get to the top, send the elevator down by teaching and helping people what you learn through this journey, how they can get there too, how they can be successful, how they, can overcome those failures and mistakes and challenges and, grow in the process. Because a lot of people do not chase their dreams times because they're afraid to fail. And that's the scary part, because failure is part of the journey. Failure is part of any successful person's story. It's not if they failed, it's how many times. And there is no shame to fail. There is no shame to fail. There is a shame to not stand up. When you do not get up, that's when you failed. Everything else is a learning process. Everything else is teaching you how things work, how things do not work, and only gonna make you stronger and better in the process. So, Elena, I know that you wrote a book on building the empire. So let me ask you a question. What an empire means to you?
Okay, before I get to that, because I had mentioned that I wanted to say the 3 things
that's right,
that
yes,
everyone needs to know about money. Should you remind me about that later? And
go ahead right now.
Okay.
Go ahead right now.
Okay. Then we can go to that, because I don't want to forget that since I mentioned it earlier on. But look, the basic essentials and the only thing that you need to know about money, since you mentioned your 6 and 7 figure earners out there. So you need to know, number 1, how to earn money. And it sounds like the majority of the people here already know that. Most people do, how to earn money. And then we call number 2, we call it store money. I don't say save money, because that's an old antiquated idea. Just save and hoard money, and your money is like depreciating in value day by day. You're not earning money in the bank, certainly, on your money. So I don't like to say save money. I like to say store money. So number 2 is you store your money, because number 3 is the most important and the one that most people know the least. And it is the only way to financial freedom. You can earn your way to rich. You cannot earn your way to financial freedom. Number 3 is the only way to have financial freedom. And that is, earn, store, and then invest in an income producing asset, or that second flow of passive income. You have to figure out how to make money for you. So the circle that we repeat over and over and over, we have 15 businesses that we own and operate. We earn the money. The earned money does not buy the planes, the helicopters, the diamond, the Chanel, the whatever your choice of toy is. That does not buy those things. What we do with our earned income is we store it until we get enough money to then invest it. In our case, we invest in multifamily, which is apartment units. We're about to go to 10,000 units. We're at 9,000 and some change right now. We're about to go to 10,000 units. So we earn, we store, then we call it going broke. We literally go broke. So we put all that money into buying new buildings. So now anytime anyone comes to me in this phase of my life, oh, can you help me? I need money for this or that. I'm sorry, I'm broke. I'm broke because my money just went here. Now, the apartments and all the people that rent from me that pay the money, then that spits off money. That money is the money that pays for all of the things that we get to enjoy in life. But before that process, we're in sacrifice phase. When I'm doing earned and stored and then income producing asset, there's no time for trinkets. I don't buy watches, clothes, cars, nothing. We went 10 years before number 3 was churning and burning to then pay off the way it is now. And we repeat the process over and over and over. So once I go broke and we put it into apartments, then we have to go back to work and re-earn all this money and then do number 2 and number 3. And we do it all over again. But you see, when I have number 3 now working so much for me and us and the empire, that if, God forbid something happened to Grant or myself or anyone in the organization, number 3 is still running. It doesn't care what's going on over on the earned income side. All it's doing is that money is, as Grant calls it, is making babies. It's multiplying. So that's the way to financial freedom. And it doesn't have to be multifamily. Like I know you deal a lot with the multi-level marketers. I love that space. Actually, I kind of just joined up with EXP, so I'm in that sort of model myself. But that is also an income producing asset. It's cash. It's a cash flow. You're making money off of other people that are doing their jobs within the organization. That's another form of a passive income. That is a way to wealth. But at some point, you got to figure out where you're going to actually place the wealth so that it can grow and multiply in a hard asset like real estate, like multifamily, that's going to pay you dividends every month.
Absolutely, because it's really important, because a lot of people do not understand, like you said, that there is no way to wealth if you're only earning money yourself, because you only have so many hours in a day and you only can produce so much just by yourself. So leverage that, buying different assets like real estate, or if people understand stock market or whatever, any other investment. So first of all, if you don't understand, find somebody who does. Don't try to figure it out yourself. Don't try to make those mistakes yourself, because that's like a clear path to lose money, right? But utilize professionals who are already very successful in different areas of businesses and investments that you would like. Find those professionals, work with them, and invest your money. But first, you need to earn that money so you have something to invest. And network marketing allows you to, create a passive income. Like Elena said, that you have the ability that you making money with your network marketing commissions, and you don't have to spend them all, especially if you have another job, or you finally kind of like transition into the phase of the full-time and your income from network marketing is fairly significant. Make sure that you decide how much you want to invest. I don't know if it's 10%, 20%, depends on your financial situation and depends on how many different income levels do you have. Make sure to constantly keep investing the money, because the first way to go broke is to eat your money every day and don't save for the future. But just saving it and keeping it out of the mattress or in your bank account is not necessarily going to multiply that investment. What Elena is talking about is multiplying the investment, multiplying the saved money. That money works for you when you sleep, when you work, when you're on the beach, when you whatever. That's the passive income, and that's what network marketing also is providing for us in the form of leverage. When you build a large organization, when that team is working 24/7, especially when your company open up in a lot of different markets, while you're sleeping here in the United States, your team in Australia is up and running, your team in Europe is up and running, and they're working and they producing, they generating sales for the company, and they generating that small percentage of commission for you as a network marketer. So understanding that, because here's the challenge, a lot of people think that if you just earn the money and you just go crazy and spend the money, buy the toys, buy whatever, buy the home, buy the cars, and that's not going to make you wealthy. Yeah, you're going to look sexy and cool at some parties in comparison with some people who do not have it. But at the end of the day, it's not going to secure your financial freedom. It's not going to secure a financial future. How many stories do you need to hear from different athletes or different celebrities or different whoever who produced and generated huge incomes before? Like, look at our football players. Majority of them making millions and millions and millions, and some of them are hundreds of millions of dollars. And what they do, they raise up their lifestyle to that level of income, and God forbid they get injured, and God forbid they cannot go and play anymore, they go bankrupt. How many of those amazing athletes, after working their butts off, after beating their bodies, they have nothing to show for, because they never thought about investing their money. They never thought about, being responsible with the money. And here's the disclaimer. Elena and I are not your financial advisors. So we're not necessarily telling you what to do and how to invest your money, but we at least sharing some principles and ideas, what works in Elena's life, what works in my life. But remember that the most important investment is you. One of those things that I learned a long time ago, there is not too much amount of money to invest in me, to invest in my vision, to invest in my skills, to invest into what I'm about to do, because things like that gonna help you see different opportunities. Things like that gonna connect you with powerful people and help you to, find those different ways to invest your money. So I think those three elements are absolutely powerful, and I thank you so much for sharing them with our group. So back to Empire. What Empire means to you, and can somebody create a financial freedom by building an empire?
Well, yeah, an empire is, amongst other things, it certainly has to have financial freedom. It has to have resources. But empire is about a mindset. It's about abundance. Abundance is the only thing that can withstand a hit. It's about going bigger, expanding, protecting. And once you have something that is that big, it can stand on its own. You have an army of people there to protect you that can withstand itself. The thing about normal is so dangerous because it makes you think everything is okay until it's not. And most people promote normal, and it's really a detriment to all involved because, normal can't sustain somebody getting laid off, somebody getting sick in the family. Normal can't sustain an economic collapse or COVID or tensions in a marriage. It'll just collapse at a lawsuit. Normal cannot hold up. It doesn't have the foundation. And so an empire is really what is strong enough for that. It's built on purpose and goals and mission and integrity and courage and strength and honor and discipline and resources and people and teams. And in order to build teams that are going to help support the infrastructure of the empire, you have to have such a clear picture of where you're going and who you are and what's the core values of the company in order to sell or encourage or entice other people to want to come on and be a part of it. And if that's not real or genuine, people find out pretty quickly. And that's, you're not going to have an empire for very long, certainly if that's what it's built upon. So, yeah, empires are really for people who have a mindset to go bigger and want to create. I always tell the story about the farmer. If it takes 12 crops to live off of in a year and you only plant 12 crops to live off of, but the storm comes and takes out half and the locusts come and take out the next third, and then you're only left with this portion, you're starving. But then you had the neighbor down the street who only needed 12, but he planted 150, and everyone said how greedy he was and when's enough going to be enough, and he worked so hard, and look how long it took him to plant 150 crops when this guy planted 12 and was at the bar and party and saying, hey, when are you gonna enjoy life and but then when the 150 guy has the storm and the locust and everything else, and he's still left with 75 crops and only needs 12 to live off of, then that guy gets to choose, hey, you know what? Let me help my neighbor out and feed my neighbor, and the neighbor down the street and whomever else, because he can. But until that point, he was criticized, and probably even criticized after the fact, because then they all come to him, oh, you have to give us because you have. So it's never really a win-win for the person who builds an empire, but it's a win-win for them in the long run, because they know that they can not only take care of their families, but they have the opportunity to take care of their community and the globe as well. And that is spiritually fulfilling for most people.
It's interesting because, like you said, building an empire and building more than you need, because then you have an opportunity to help people that you care about. And here's the thing, if you don't have enough, you can't help.
1,000,000%. In 2008, when we were on the verge of we were on an economic collapse. My husband and I were on the verge of losing everything, which, at the time, I come from New Orleans, Louisiana. When I got with Grant, and he was already, a multimillionaire at the time, that was more money than I could even imagine for myself, or, that to me, we were rich, we were rich people. I thought we were wealthy. And then it took an economic collapse. I was pregnant with our first child, so I was out of all of my acting jobs. We were under our first major lawsuit by a guy who deliberately tried to con us because he's trying to get money because he's in desperate situation now. It's just a lot of things going on at one time. And that's when I realized, we were poor, rich people. And when we were on the verge of losing it all, my only purpose in 2008 was not to lose the rest, to hang on to whatever we had. My sole purpose was to survive. I only wanted Grant, myself, and at that time, my first unborn child to survive. And there was no purpose about helping others or going even global. And it is what it is. I was greedy at the time. I had to be greedy. And now I'm at the point now where I don't have to be greedy. I can share the knowledge. I can help fast track others. I was in your shoes, maybe even worse at some states of my life, So the purpose really is now is to, they say knowledge is power. Well, what if you have the wrong knowledge? And I believe a lot of us have been indoctrinated with the wrong knowledge, with antiquated ideas, with misconceptions. And if I'm going to go conspiracy theory, I could say deliberately, maybe not, maybe I took it too far just now. Either way, I believe we were indoctrinated with wrong knowledge that has withheld us from our true power. And so now I'm at a point now where we're at, where I can maybe help dispel some of the myths that I have uncovered and found not to be true for myself, and which really provided a gateway to a heightened level of success for other people to then have an awakening, or maybe a different option or way or angle to look and approach things differently that could maybe accelerate their progress.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like when your mind is really busy with the survival, that's your basic instinct. You have to have the roof over your head. You have to have a food on the table. You need to provide for your family. You're not thinking about contributions. You're not thinking about helping others. You're not thinking about extending your hand to somebody in need. You're thinking about how to survive. And once you learn how to do that, now you can help other people. So because at the end of the day, you're the one to decide and choose what are you going to do with the money. It's your choice. You cannot control everybody else. You cannot control what other people are going to do once they get their wealth or once they get their money. But it's their choice. But you don't have to live by their choices. You can make your own. And you can own what you will have to take responsibility for those choices as well. So, Elena, you mentioned Grant before, and you guys are a power couple, and a lot of people, especially in this program, particularly they're women, and of course a lot of them are asking like, hey, can I build with my spouse? Can I build my business? What if spouse not supporting me? Or what if I'm single? So the question is, do you have to have a partner in order to build an empire?
The answer is yes. You do have to have a partner to build an empire, because there is no, but hear me out to the end, okay? Because there's no empire that has ever been built alone in the history of the world. I've studied a lot of empires now, and there's no empire that's ever been built alone. No idea has ever been built and sustained. The idea might start in the garage and with one person, but in order to become the empire that it became, it is now, a full-blown company with massive amounts of people. So you do have to have one plus many, many, many more partners. So the answer is yes, you have to have a partner, but you don't have to have a partner in the bedroom. You don't have to have a husband or a wife in order to get your empire launched off the ground, but you do have to have a team of partners, of people who co-agree and co-collaborate with you in order to each rise together in order to reach, and build an empire. You cannot do it alone. So whether it's a friend, a business partner, or many, yes, you have to have a partner. I mean, you can only go so high on your own, and that is just the reality of life. You can only go so high in life. The purpose of partners and teammates are to then help you when you cap out. You've done everything that you can to get yourself to this level. They help you push and elevate you to that heightened level of success. And that's who I have around me. Where I am not good and where I fall short or where I fall thin or whatever, I have the support and infrastructure around me so that other people I can delegate the roles to, so that we can all work hand in hand to get this entire organization up and running and churning on its own.
Yeah, and I think everybody needs to really hear what Elena said. Yes, you have to have a partner, but that does not mean it has to be your spouse, your significant other. It means that your company can be a partner. You know, the company, a network marketing company that you choose to build with, that's your partner. You know, if you have a sponsor or upline who is helping you and leading you and guiding you through the process, that can be your partner. If you do not have anybody right now, you know, programs like this can be your partner. It's somebody who can help you see a bigger vision. It's somebody who can help you to believe in yourself. It's somebody who can help you and guide you in the process, give you the skills and the tools necessary. That's what that means. That means that either the team of people that you're working with or group of people that you're associated with that can help you to do it together. But it does not have to be a significant other necessarily. So if you're single, right, don't get petrified right now.
Do not get discouraged. No, indeed. And also, if you have a partner who isn't in the business with you and might not take interest in your business, don't get discouraged with that either. As long as you two have sat down as a couple and said, who are we as a couple? What do we represent? Where do we want to go? Okay, this area, you know, my branch now is EXP. I'm developing this whole thing, luxury real estate, this, that, da, 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 da. I'm building this whole team. It's like my legacy play now. I get to be the woman behind the thousands, if not millions of women and men, whereas before I was just the empire builder behind Grant. So this is my legacy move, right? Well, Grant, my husband, is very much supportive and is also a partner with Glenn Sanford, the founder, in the business as sort of an ambassador. But my husband, so he supports me, that's my point, but he's running 15 other businesses that he's got going off over here. So when we come home and I want to talk about my new business and what I'm learning and all the people that I'm getting and what I did, blah, 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 and he might show interest, you know, for 5 minutes because he doesn't want to be disrespectful, but he's got a lot of other things going on. It doesn't mean that he's not interested or doesn't support me. No, it just means if I want to get super excited and, you know, and I want to talk about it, I need to go find my friends that like sparks a spark with and have those conversations with them and talk to my husband about the things that we can relate to. And like, just because we're married doesn't mean I have to be interested in everything he does. And he has to be interested in every detail of everything that I do, or we're just not meant to be. No, in our relationship, it's like we love each other. We love the big picture and the mission, but I also don't have to like make him be so excited about every little thing I'm doing that might not hold his attention.
Right. And, you know, Eric and I will be doing a training on the relationships this Friday. But what you just said, Elena, is just so powerful and important for people to understand that you have to have a common mission, a common goal. You have to go in the same direction. You cannot be going in opposite directions because it's just not going to happen. You know, couples either grow together or they grow apart.
That's right. But yeah, go ahead. No,
but at the same, go
as long as we're in agreement that the greatest act of love that we can give each other is he can help me achieve my goals, because when he's doing that for me and I'm winning and achieving my goals, there is nothing bigger or better. I don't care what plane, helicopter, diamond, watch, that does not fulfill me. When I fulfill my goals and my dreams, that is the biggest act of love that anyone can give me. And when I can give that to Grant, it's the same for him. And that's what keeps us in love with each other. And that's what keeps us fighting for each other and fortified. And that's how we come together and have win after win after win. But if I was in a relationship where a guy was actively seeking to actually suppress me, not show interest and not care after my 20 minutes of going on and on and on about how excited I am about my business. That's not suppressive. I mean, actively trying to hold me down, like for real, then I would have to sever that relationship, because the only reason I am with my partner, Grant Cardone, of course I love him. I mean, that should just be a bottom line given, right? You're not going to go marry someone you're not in love with. I don't believe that works. But the whole purpose of the partnership is to help each other, and as a group and as a unity and a family, go to a heightened level of success together, so that y'all are both, and we're both mutually winning with each other, for each other. That's the only reason. If I'm just in love with someone because the sex is great, or because my heart is just in love with him, but he is suppressing and holding me down, like, that is going to kill me.
Absolutely, because here's the thing. One thing that we all need to remember is we have to have a common goal as a unit, but we also have to have individual goals. Because if there is no spark or passion in something that you do as a woman or as a man, pretty soon you're going to get boring to your partner. Pretty soon you're going to be dependent on your partner, not just on a financial sense, but also they will become your oxygen. They will become everything. They will become your world. Yes, like you said, Elena, I love my husband. Absolutely. He is my oxygen and he is my world. But at the same time, I have my own projects. I have my own things that excite me, that fulfill me, that help me feel alive, that help me feel that I'm worthy of something, that help me, build my confidence and build my, way of contribution and, give it to other people. So in order for two strong people be a strong couple, they individually have to become strong. And sometimes it happens on their own terms. Sometimes one is growing faster, another one is just catching up. But as long as everybody understands that the growth is the important common goal, as an important destination where both people of the unit are going to, that's it, to me, is important. But if I'm, for example, and let's be honest here, especially when you're a pretty girl, and you think that your prettiness gonna get you all the way to the end, eventually you're just gonna become a toy. You're gonna become a doll that is pretty to look at, but there is nothing to talk about it. I mean, that's what gets man more bored as anything else. And especially if you're, like you said, Elena, if the man is suppressive, in the sense that you have to dim your light in order for them to feel strong, in order for them to feel comfortable in their own skin, that's not very strong a wise man. Because I haven't seen a strong and a wise man who would put his woman down. Strong and a powerful man will only push her woman up and higher and support her in her vision, in her ambitions, in her work that she's trying to do, whatever it is, constantly edifying each other. That's what a strong unit, that's what a power couple does. Elena, you keep hearing she's edifying Grant all the time, but Grant is edifying her all the time too. That's what power couples do. If you have to dim your light in order for your partner or spouse to feel comfortable, you have to look at very careful, because that's not the way to live. That's not the way to grow. I would not be staying in a relationship when my man would be pushing me down. I stayed in one of them for 10 years, but now I learned better than that. I'm not going back to that direction anymore, because you want to be your own, in order for you to build a empire, you need to become a queen, right? You need to become a queen in your own right, in your own ambition, in your own skills, in your own confidence, in your own badassness and everything, right? So you can take it to the next level. So, Elena, let me ask you another question about Empire, and we're going to open it up for some questions. In order for Empire to grow, right, it's important to protect Empire, right? And it's important to pay attention who you're letting into your Empire. So what is your philosophy of who you're letting into your business, in your life, as an influence. How do you protect your empire?
Well, I say the empires are destroyed from within. It's very easy when you know who your enemies are. It doesn't make it easy, but it makes it easier in the sense that you know where the threat is. You can research and how to combat the threat. It's just more transparent. And I say the empires are destroyed within because it's the ones that you are less aware of, that you can't see. They look like friends. Sometimes they're family. In some circumstances, they're family. And you let them in. They have access to all your contacts, your resources, your vulnerabilities, anything. And then if they come into the group and start a whole gossip fest, and now you've got one division of the organization like in protest and all up in arms, now they can blow up they can set the bomb off from the inside. Now I'm off of the purpose of reaching 7 billion people, having them winning from our products and services. Now I got to go handling the people in the office and finding out what went on and who said what, and because the cancer spreads, and either cutting it out or eliminating it altogether. And then that means rehiring it and whatnot. And that takes up time. And all that time takes off of or us. When I say me, I mean everyone. Like the time that it would take to focus on the goals and going forward. Now you have to handle internal affairs and whatnot, So, how we handle that is, we put them through a process and just try to hire people who have the same core values, who are ethical, who have strong desire for achieving competency and potential, and who aren't willing to not work. So there's a lot of things that we look for, like who's disciplined, who's really going to be an asset to the organization, and who's going to be a liability. And as soon as we see the red flags for liabilities, nobody wants liabilities either. They're liabilities, So when you start seeing disgruntled people and, or they're having accidents, or they're cheating at work, or cheating on their relationships, or they're going to be cheating you. So I look at those situations. Are they doing drugs? Are they partying too much? Are they spending more than they're making? That's also being unethical with money. They don't understand stuff. They're going to be unethical with their money, and then I give them a responsibility of having my credit card to go buy something for the office or for this. Are they putting their charges on my card? Are they spending too freely because it's not their money? Do you know what I'm saying? These are liabilities, or somebody that's not particular with details. Are they going to make a mistake that's going to cost me 50, 100 or more grand, So these are all things that I look for, and who's around us, and trying to weed out, there's certain people that you could think are your friends, and they could really truly believe that they are your friends. But if they're core values are the absolute antithesis of who you are, at some point they're going to start causing problems for you. So that can go with anything. It can go with sexism, racism, religion. It can go with, political views. Like, if there's somebody who's really against me as a woman, maybe this person just hates women, like this deep-seated hatred for women. And they're in the office, and then all of a sudden, like, there's problems after problems after problems, and the task just keeps getting messed up around this person. They might really try to be my friend, but if there's a real deep-seated hatred towards me as a woman, or maybe there's just such a deep-seated hatred of wealthy people, whenever I am that's the trigger for them, they will implode me and attack me, whether they're really aware of it or not, if I represent the thing that goes vehemently against them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And like what you're describing is the, organizational kind of like awareness, inside of the company, inside of your empire. But in order to translate it into network marketing, I want you guys to remember we're talking about building a culture. Building a culture inside of your organization, whatever it is, office, or is it the company, the team that you're building? Because at the end of the day, inside of network marketing, you are not hiring people. They're a volunteered army of, people who are locking their arms with the organization, and they're independent. They're building their own business. But you as a leader, you as a sponsor, you in charge of setting up the tone. You in charge of building the culture of what is acceptable, what is not. Like Elena said, all these different things, the sexism, the racism, the hatred of any sort, should not be accepted. When people do not behave in alignment with your core values, then you need to address those things, that you need to immediately, put the hammer down, because like you said, cancer spreads out really, really fast. And when you allow certain behavior and when it's not stopped on time, it's going to keep repeating, and pretty soon your organization going to be known for being drunk at the parties, or coming up late to convention, or bullying other cross lines, or stealing people from somebody else's downline, or sleeping with each other, or whatever it might be. It's up to you as a leader to set the tone and create the culture. One question that I would like you to answer to yourself is, what me and my team want to be known for? What do we want to be known for inside of our company? Do we want to be known that we are the, fastest to get to the next rank, or we are the one that does a lot of home meetings, or we are the team that does a lot of Zoom calls or webinars or whatever, or we are the ones who get to the certain rank fastest, or in bigger quantities, or fastest growing organization? Whatever you want to be known for, it's your responsibility and your ability as a leader to create inside of your organization. So if you guys have any questions, just put them in the chat so I can read them and see. Just put it in the Q&A. You have that little kind of like a sidebar for the Q&A. So just please put the questions in the Q&A. And while you guys typing your questions, I'm gonna ask Elena. My question is, what is the biggest financial lesson you learned?
The biggest. Never lose money. The biggest mistake, I guess I would say, that was the financial lesson that we learned, was not collaborating and not building a team sooner. I would financially be a lot further ahead. And I believe being a lot further ahead would make me more known. And I would be able to have more of an impact and help even more. So that financial not collaborating and building teams earlier on has cost me, not just financially. That's the least of the worries. It's how many people could I have helped that I failed to help because I didn't do this sooner.
Yeah, to me, it's pretty similar. Is not investing in myself fast enough, or thinking that something is way too expensive. Because what I've learned up till this point is there is not too much of an investment in yourself, because at the end of the day, no matter how much your mentors and people who advise you cost, the mistake that you can make by not getting that advice can be way more expensive. So that's why every time
that's definitely leaving money on the table. Self-enhancement is something that I strongly believe in. Surrounding yourself by mentors that are actually doing it, not just the people who are the self-proclaimed experts, or maybe even they have the badge or whatever, but like a lawyer or like even a realtor, that claims, but they might have the authority in a certain area, but are they really where you want to be and emulate. Like sometimes these people have authorities to influence others, but they haven't done it themselves. Like you were talking about the football players earlier and how they've lost all their money. They have these managers who manage all their money for them, who have never done it themselves. They just, have the degree or whatever, but they haven't actually done it. So they listen to these people and they end up losing all their money because they're not studying people that have done it before. They're not paying and investing in themselves and the knowledge. Because once you've invested that into yourself, that self-enhancement, no one can take it away from you. People ask me all the time, what would you do if you were broke? And I'd say, so what? It would suck. It would hurt, but I still have my integrity, my courage, my know-how, my ability, my core values. I would just make it a whole lot faster than it took me the first time. That's all. So self-enhancement, investing, pay to be in the room, get around people who can influence or say that one thing that can be the game changer in your life. Get around the power in the room, feel what that feels like, connect with them, get known, spend the money to promote yourself, spend the money to invest in yourself, the biggest, best asset that you have on the planet, that once that is in you can never be taken away.
All right, that is super powerful, and I hope you guys were taking notes on that. So let's go to a couple questions. Tiffany Roberts is asking, I'm still in the making money phase, and it seems like every time I make some, it disappears. What advice would you have for someone like me who is working on being wealthy?
Look at what your concepts and your thoughts are about money, because you have a thought about money. You have a thought that every time you make it, it disappears. And that alone tells me that you want to be right. We all are just trying to be right in life. So if you constantly tell yourself, I make money and it disappears, I make money and it disappears, guess what? You're going to make money and it disappears, because it's going to make you right that when you say you make money and it disappears, you want to be right in that. So maybe just change the viewpoint that you make money and you can store money, and one day you will be able to invest money. And then just change that, like money doesn't disappear. It doesn't disappear. Money doesn't disappear. Okay. Money goes to a different hand, or, it goes into a bank, or it goes into somebody else's hand, and it exchanges. Money is a flow. So I make money and money flows. How about that? Because money is energy. So it flows. It doesn't disappear. Like that's called magic. And even though I believe in magic, I don't believe in that kind of magic. It just doesn't disappear. It's like, that's not even real what you're telling. You're telling yourself a lie right there. It doesn't disappear. So money flows, and it needs to flow. That's how an economy flourishes and prospers. So if it disappears, it's flowing. It'll flow away and it comes back. It ebbs and it flows, and it ebbs and it flows, and it can come in and you can store it, and it can still go out, and it can come in and you can store some more, and then you send it out, and you keep playing that game and allow yourself to partake. You don't need to hold on to it. Holding on and hoarding money is a stop flow. You are stopping a flow when you hold and hoard money and want to try to hang on to it. So very well done that you earn it and it disappears. You're letting it go back and circulate and come back to you. That's a good thing. That's how money works. And do more of it. Just keep doing more of it. But as you're doing more of it, store a little bit until you have 100 grand, and then you can invest in Cardone Capital with me, and we can put it to work for you. How about that?
But I would also say that it's probably something with your money blueprint, because you are comfortable of being that underdog. You comfortable of like it. Once you have a lot of money, it makes you something does not click with your money blueprint, and that's why you find ways to either lose it or invest in bad ways or whatever it might happen. So examine what is your true relationship with money. What's your money blueprint blueprint looks like, and see where there is a challenge and what needs to happen, what needs to change in that money blueprint for you, so you can find a way not just earn the money, but also to save some, so you can invest some, so you continue to growing process of the money. So Serenise Alcinder asking, what happens if you started building an empire and realized the right foundation is missing?
Wait, say that real quick.
What happens if you started building an empire and realized that the right foundation is missing?
If you found what is wrong, that means you have the ability to correct it, make the adjustment. If something's missing, figure out how can you get it in, you know? What are you doing that allowed it to be out in the first place, and correct that in yourself, and then go out and get the proper resources that you need to build up that structure.
Great. So, oh my gosh, I'm not going to pronounce it properly, but Izuhongwa Amadasun is asking, did you and Grant have the same vision for your lives before getting married? That's question number one. And question number two, also, what advice would you have for a driven single lady with a really big vision who might be deemed really intimidating for men?
Okay, couple things. The vision that when Grant and I first got married, no, I didn't. I had to figure this out along the way. When I got married to Grant, I just thought, oh, we're in love. We'd be monogamous. We live happily ever after. That was a marriage. We did write down a list of kind of what was needed and wanted from each other, like in an ideal partnership. So we did agree upon some things before we got married. We both knew that we wanted a family. We wanted to have kids. My vision was much later. I made him wait. He was willing to do that, but I did want to have that, but in the future. So there were certain things mapped out, but when we got married, it wasn't, we're going to go build this empire and this is where we're going and we're going to be a power couple to the world and blah, blah, blah. Like that was not on the radar at all. I was in my late 20s. I got married I'm a week after I turned 30. So, okay, so there was that has evolved. As we evolve, the image and the picture and our goals, they grow and we get on the same page and we continue to go forward. So that's grown and evolved over the years as we've evolved. We've been together now almost, I think, 17 or 18 years this 4th of July. Okay, so now as a strong, driven, independent woman, this is a two-part question. Again, you look at what your ideas are about men, because I was in the same situation where I had to look at my views on men. I was always this strong, independent, powerful woman who never needed a man for anything. And so prior to Grant, when I had that viewpoint, I never wanted to be in a relationship, but when I did try to be in a relationship for the sake of trying to be normal, I always had that attitude. And so I understand that when I had that attitude, and I was a working actress, I bought my own house, I had my own cars at the times. My life was ups and downs, but this was like in the high point. And, but I had this, I don't need a man for anything. And I would do whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. And the bottom line is when I look at and take responsibility for what happened in the relationship, I made him feel like I didn't need him for anything because I didn't. And that doesn't make people feel good. You see, like a man, just like a woman, wants to feel needed and loved and that they're special. And they don't want to feel like you're just going to exclude them and do whatever you want anyway. Like, I don't want my partner to just go do whatever and not consult me for anything. So when it ended up happening was, out of these 3 long-term, which was like a year, long-term relationships, all 3 men cheated on me. So then I had this thing, all men cheat, right? But I didn't take responsibility that, of course, when they go find some girl that's like, oh my God, you're so hot, you're so special. And they laugh and they're interested in him and make him feel great. Of course, he's going to want to have sex with her. You know what I'm saying? Because I was like, I got my money. I don't need you. It's just not nice. So then I took on a different viewpoint where And I had the other viewpoint that all men hold me back in life. So all of those 3 losers fit my role of making myself right by they held me back in my careers by a whole bunch of drama that held me back, right? So then I took on the viewpoint that maybe out of 7 billion people on the planet, that there could be one that could actually uplift me, that would be monogamous. And then I found Grant immediately after. And fortunately, that viewpoint changed things. So when you say it intimidates a guy, I want you to look at, what are you putting out that's making them that way? And then if it's legitimately not you putting off vibes that kind of offset them, then I'm going to suggest that you might be hanging out with not the right people for you. You need to up your game of man, because I can tell you the guys come to me in flocks asking me how they can have a strong, powerful woman. They're like, how do I get somebody like you? Like they want like the me version for them in their lives, because they see how strong and independent and intimidating I can be, yet very supportive of my husband. So they're looking for that. I know for a fact that these guys exist and they are looking for you. They want strong, powerful women and they don't know where to find them. So they do exist. Know that they're out there, and that when you find the right guy, they're not going to be intimidated. They're going to be very happy that you're with them, but they also need to feel loved and appreciated and valued and included as well.
And it's so right, because at the end of the day, what we looking in a man, because when we have this picture in our head, like, oh, he needs to have blue eyes and be loving and caring and so powerful and wealthy and blah 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 blah, whatever that list is, right? Start asking questions. What a guy who has all these qualities is looking in his woman, and he probably is also looking for loving and caring and passionate and powerful woman, because any strong and powerful man does not just want a toy, because they will get bored with it. Only insecure man, in my opinion, is looking for a toy, is looking for a doll, because eventually, what are you going to be talking about? You have to have the common passion. You have to have the common drive. You have to have the common mission. If that does not exist, I don't understand how that relationship can blossom. It's just a matter of like, he's going to go his way, she's going to go her way, and a bye-bye. So understand that if you right now haven't met a person, a man or a woman that you're looking for, first of all, see some of the qualities that you have that you might want to improve. If you want to attract certain qualities in your partner. So, because here's the question that Eric and I ask ourselves, or at least at the beginning, it's like, now, because we already been together for 13 years, and we consider ourselves a power couple. We consider ourselves a two-headed monster, and we have a very strong unit. And I keep saying to myself, especially at the beginning, why I didn't meet you earlier, so we could have more time together. But then guess what? If we met 10, 15 years prior, he was not the man he is today, and I was not a woman I am today either. So, or at least at the moment when we met, because if we would meet 10 or 15 years prior when we did, we were not the human beings that potentially were meant to be together at that time. So it took us time to get to the same level, to the same wavelength, so we can, moving forward, grow together instead of growing apart. So, Elena, I thank you so much for your time. I know that we can talk for hours and hours, and I know there are a bunch of other questions, and we can just spend all day here answering them. But I just wanted to say thank you so much on my behalf and on behalf of everybody who participating on this call today. You brought some heat, you brought some fire. Come on, guys, give Elena some love, give her some hearts, give her some fire, because she delivered and over-delivered, and all the great ideas, all the great motivation that you're providing. And if you guys haven't read Elena's book, I would strongly recommend it. And because, I read that book in just one night. As soon as Elena gave it to me, I read it just in one night because, her and I, we think very much alike. And it's so refreshing and fun to see, like a sister from another mother, that lives on the other side of this country. But I feel that deep connection and gratitude to everything you do and how you empower women, and how you help them to believe in what's possible, and leading the way to all of us to see that dreams do come true if you really work hard, if you put your mind to it, if you face your fears, if you chase your dreams. Everything is possible in life. Elena, do you have any closing thoughts?
Yeah, never underestimate your target. Never reduce your target. Continue to go for greatness. Don't let anyone stop you from continuing to believe and to have the courage and the audacity to go for it, even when you don't have it right now. Trust the process. You said there's going to be failures. There's going to be betrayals. That's all just part of the game of life. We're on planet Earth. It's a game. It's a game. We're playing a game. In order for you to have a win, in order for you to have happiness, you have to overcome the barriers and the challenges of life towards a known goal in order to achieve and have true happiness. So it's all part of the experience. Just know everybody goes through it too, and you can get there. You are arriving. Trust the process. If anyone is ever interested, we're having our 10X Ladies event here in October. I don't know if I told you yet. I'd love for you to come. It's in October.
I would love to.
October 2nd and 3rd. The welcome party's October 1st. It's here in Miami, 10X Ladies. I'd love to have you there. I'll talk to you about that a little offline here, but 10X Ladies. And thank you. Continue to go for greatness. You can make a difference in my life, but only if I know who you are and you're willing to step up and take responsibility for letting me get to know you and your products and services. So thank you for making a difference in my life and for being here and investing the time and energy that you did tonight to make yourself better. You certainly made me better. So thank you very, very much for that.
Thank you so much, Elena. And everybody, this concludes our session with the amazing Elena Cardone. I hope you got a lot of value. I hope you got a lot of notes. And Eric and I will be kicking off our Friday session with the relationship. We're going to continue the conversation on the relationship, and I cannot wait to see you guys on Friday. All right, have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.